Hi, everyone, and welcome into Don't Tell Me How to Fan. My name is Josh Albrecht. John Taylor, who I usually do the show with, under the weather tonight, not able to hop in. However, very, very happy to welcome on for the first time Brandon Sneide, who you may hear if you listen to Don't Tell Me How to Fan on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network weekdays on 9 to noon. Otherwise, you can also find him on podcast platforms all over the place, including Locked On, every single Wisconsin sport ever. Brandon, thanks so much for being with us.
Oh man, it's awesome to be here. When you asked me, I was ecstatic to join you. I'm thrilled to be here, honored to be here. Thanks for having me.
So we got a lot to talk about, and listen, this deserves a whole segment, but we're going to talk about the city (parentheses) state and (parentheses) Connect series that came out for the Milwaukee Brewers. That's how we're starting this. Plenty to talk about, but that's how we're starting. So first and foremost, if you have no idea, I am a huge fan of gear. I say buy all the gear, support them, get it. The whole thing started, the whole buy all the gear idea started when I was back working with iHeart, and there was a gentleman there. His name's Armin Sarian, and he refused to get the championship gear until it was the championship. So if the Brewers made the wild card, he was like, I'm not buying the gear. And I was like, you have to buy it. They made it. Celebrate that. And he was like, no, because then if they win the division, I'll never wear that shirt. And it went on and so on and so forth. Brandon, do you know the number one Brewers playoff shirt that I wear?
I'm gonna assume it is a wild card.
It is.
Yep.
It's the one that says "Let's get wild."
I also like that you wear because I think the latest, I think it's the divisional round when they beat the Cubs. Those hats with like the crown,
oh yeah,
the diamond, like when they beat the Cubs in the 2025 NLDS. I think those are some of the best hats, period, that they have come out with. You got to wear all the gear. Like, you don't know, but like, even to Armin's point, and I love Armin. I know Armin. He's awesome. You don't know if they're ever going to get back to that point, right? And who cares if they advance? If they advance, that's great. That just means you get more gear in your closet, more gear in your drawers, and can keep wearing it.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, I don't understand. What's the problem if you, God forbid, you have a Eastern Conference champions Buck shirt and a NBA champions Buck shirt? Yeah. Oh no.
Yeah, you just wear one day, then the other the next day. I ran to the store after they advanced, after the Bucks beat the Hawks. Man, what good times the Bucks used to be for us back in 2021. Because I was like, I don't even care if they win the NBA Finals. I didn't think I was ever going to be able to buy Eastern Conference Championship sweatshirt, hoodie, hat. So I bought it all. It's now displayed in my basement, and I always look at that, not like, well, it's not the NBA championship hat. No, I remember that feeling, Josh, in that moment when I was getting ready and I seen the players on the court, the Brewers on the field, the Packers when they won the NFC North. Like, I remember those moments of looking at that gear being, man, I want that, because I want to remember what this moment felt like, because you just never know. And look how we are now with the Bucks, Josh. We don't know if we're ever going to get an Eastern Conference or NBA title championship hoodie.
What we wouldn't do for another Eastern Conference final run of gear.
Seriously.
So, and then that kind of, it just expanded from there to including just buy it all. Just buy all the stuff. Buy whenever there's a one-off, and just that became kind of the mantra, is just buy it. And so that got us into the City Connect stuff. Now, the City Connect stuff is interesting because the first year they did the City Connect was, 2 years ago?
I want to say it was 4. I think it was 2022. You're talking about for the Brewers. I think it was 2022. Yes. The Brew Crew City Connects, I believe, were 2022. I could be wrong, but I believe that. I think it's every 3 or 4 years that they're released. I could be mistaken on that, and I suppose that's something I probably could have researched. Yeah, it debuted in 2022. So it's every 4 years, I think, that they switch them out.
So that is an interesting point, right? 4 years of this, if you're not a fan of that style. Now, to be fair, they're super alternate, right? So Correct. They only wear them once in a great while. It's not like you're wearing this every third game.
It's not a new uniform, yeah.
Correct. But 4 years is still a long time.
It is. It's longer than I thought it was because I had that same
I
thought.
it
I'm
was
like
2 years.
I thought it was 2 years too, and then I looked back and I remember seeing something on social media, and I was like 2022. I'm like, man, that feels like a long time ago. But yeah, so every 4 years you get a new one, and if you don't like that one, you know, I like the 2022 ones, the Brew Crew with the powder blue. Didn't really wow me, like, but I wasn't mad in the moment. I'm like, yeah, it's cool. It's just a different uniform. If I don't like it, I'll just go and buy the ball and glove that everybody else wears.
Right. Well, and so that there were a lot of people that had a lot of thoughts about those then, now 4 years ago. And then the Brewers took a bigger swing with this year's City Connect.
Yep.
Making it a State Connect. And there was a leak that happened first. So first, let's address the leak. The leak ruined everything. Okay. Leaks usually do. Right? Like, I don't remember the last time I saw a leak of something and I went, oh my God, this is going to be awesome. Because the leaks are never like good quality images, right?
Yeah.
It's like a blurry.
Somebody sneaking a photo in.
Correct. So you get the idea of what it is, but you don't like truly see it. And from the back, it looked like what you saw was just like a terrible looking Mets jersey. And I was like, what are we doing? Oh my God, is this real? Fast forward, that's not what this is. Okay. Now, we're going to get to in a minute if people actually like it or not, but that's not what it is. It's not like they just went blue for water, orange for hunting, yay, Wisconsin, Brewers. Like, that's not it. They essentially made it about like the state of Wisconsin summer night vibes. Like, that's what it is. Not Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And I was like, okay, I can get down with that. So the big thing is that orange, they call it like a mango. It looked like a highlighter salmon to me, which I don't know. That might be mango. I don't know. But either way, so like that's the orange on it. And then there's like, it's a gradient though. So you have it like through the blue, yellow, purple mango like that, which literally looks like the perfect summer sunset. Like you're looking at out over a lake and you see that sunset and it's just like perfect. And so I went, okay, I can get down with that. I was on board. Then I get to the team store and I see everything else that they have. I see the bobber logo continuing with the grill, now making the grill into a bobber. Awesome. They have a new barrel man, which you can see right there. If you're watching this on Not Done Yet Media, yeah, they got a new little.
One of my favorite logos they've done.
Yeah,
one of my favorite, if not the favorite.
Which apparently this was like an old barrel man.
Yeah,
like before the Brewers, there was a different team in Wisconsin, so that still used the barrel man. So they bring that back. They do some colors with it. Very, very cool. And so they have like other logos, and they're going to come up with more merch, more gear highlighted around those too. Everything that dropped on Thursday was supposed to be like directly related to the on-field stuff, and they could sprinkle in a few more. But I know per some sources, that like there are rules. Like they can't just drop everything, and so they dropped as much as they could on that first day. Also having it be for the on-field stuff. So the reactions of most people still seem to be pretty negative. I know for a fact, Brandon, that you like this more than the first one.
I do.
Why do you like this one more?
I'm a big darker blue fan, to be honest with you. I didn't mind the Brew Crew. I love the grill patch. I wanted it to be a little bit bigger. Like it just wasn't big enough on the jerseys for me. The Barrelman on this one is like the full size sleeve. Like it's much larger. So that kind of stands out to me. I know everybody's like, it's a City Connect and why are we tying it to the state of Wisconsin? Well, there are Brewer fans that don't live in Milwaukee. I know that's not necessarily breaking news, or maybe it is, but I like that they incorporated the Wisco on the jersey. Now, a lot of fans are also mad because it says Wisco and nobody says that and blah, blah, blah. But I've lived out of the state, Josh, and my previous life, like it actually is referred as Wisco a lot. Like people are like, oh, you're from Wisco too. Like it actually it kind of is a little bit more popular than I think than people actually realize. So I think
that to me is weird the way you used it. Like, I don't think people I think it just goes through phases. Like, at least I see it a lot in Milwaukee. Like, there was a time and place where Cream City was used for everything. There was Cream City Construction,
correct,
Cream City Electric, Cream City this, Cream City Ice Cream, Cream City Cream. Like, if there was something in the city, good luck if you wanted Cream City, because it was taken. There was just a period of time. Now, right now in the city, it's MKE. Yeah, everything is MKE.
Yep.
It used to just be the airport.
Yeah.
Now it's MKE Film, MKE this, MKE that. So that's where I'm like, in no situation do I ever have a conversation with someone and go, well, I'm from Cream City. Well, I'm from MKE.
And the people that did, like, those are like, everybody loves those Bucks jerseys, and people outside of Milwaukee, even people inside of Milwaukee, are like, I didn't know about Cream City.
Right.
And that's everybody's favorite Bucks jersey.
Half the people still don't even know why it's called Cream City. They're like, is it because of like dairy and the cream, right? That's like why. It's like, no. Like, there's so many different like parts of this to where I'm like, okay, so maybe you don't call it Wisco. I don't call it Wisco, but some people do. Some people say Cream City. I'm still gonna call it like Wisconsin. Like that's the thing that I think is so weird to me, is like, why does it have to say what you would refer to the state as? What's wrong with having it just be a nickname? Like, I don't know. I don't understand.
Well, and here's the thing with uniforms. First off, the hats, because we're both wearing them. You're watching. And the W with the outline of the state, automatically one of my favorite looks. Like, it's good. You're gonna have to find an outfit, and I know you'll have plenty, Josh, but I'll have to find some outfits that match it. I'll have to get a hoodie eventually. I love it. I absolutely love it. It's one of my favorites so far. So that's another reason why I love it, because it has the state outline, and that's our state. So it's not just tied to Milwaukee. So I love that it brought everybody in. But I'm telling you right now, and I know you know this, and I know fans of Wisconsin sports know this that are listening, anytime a uniform is released, you are automatically going to tick off half of the fan base and have the other side fall in love. I can remember Bucks uniforms that when the blue Bucks uniforms came out, people hated them. And then we went there to Fiserv and we saw them and we're like, actually, those are really cool. Like, they actually are a lot different than what they look like on a social media picture. Every time the Packers release one, oh, those helmets that are fake leather, they're not really cool. But then you see it, you're like, oh yeah, that is kind of actually pretty cool. Like, you got to see it right before you, I think, in person before you fully judge it. And number two, you're just never going to please anybody. Like, I know that's a generic cliche saying, but it's legit when it comes to the uniforms.
It's absolutely true. And I think another important thing is that maybe if you really hate this, it just wasn't made for you.
There you go.
That's the other thing from some of the sources that I will say, Brandon, you, me, and people older than us, we were not the target demo for this design. The players loved the colors. They wanted brighter colors. They were down with the Wisco thing. There are a lot of influencers on social media platforms that you and I don't even use who refer to it as Wisco that are 100% in on this. And it's like, okay, so if that's another part that we're just outside of the demo, even more of a reason to just be like, all right, if I don't like it, throw your hands up, move on. There's other stuff to get. And I'll leave it at that.
One more thing before, I'd be remiss if I didn't bring it up. Okay, the grill patch is cool. I told you about the hat with the W, the barrel man patch. You got to be kidding me with the bobber. Like, that is one of the coolest logos, and it really symbolizes the state of Wisconsin. You know, for a lot of us, we grew up fishing as kids. Like, that to me, Josh, that put the stamp on it for me. I absolutely love them.
Yeah, and there's going to be more of that merch coming out, which I can't wait for. But for now, we have this, and we're going to start wearing it to some Brewers games. And we need to talk about the Brewers and how they've done to this point in the season. And we're going to do that when we come back on Don't Tell Me How to Fan. Stay tuned. Welcome back, everyone, to Don't Tell Me How to Fan. I'm Josh Albrecht. Usually, I'm with John Taylor. John, under the weather, not able to be here this week. Very happy to have Brandon Sneide. You've heard him on Locked On Everything in Wisconsin. Plus, you can hear him on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network on 9 to noon with John Kuhn and Rami Makloff. Thanks so much again, Brandon, for filling in and joining us. we just got done talking about the new merch, the City/State Connect line that came out from the Brewers, which we discovered in real time is going to be with us for the next 4 years. So you don't like it? Now you're going to be looking at it once in a great while for the next 4 years.
Yep.
And you'll be looking at it at the Brewer games. So let's talk a little bit about, Brandon, this team and our expectations so far, if they've been met, if they've been exceeded, or if they've fallen short. The Brewers, at the time of this recording on Thursday, are 8-4, and they were 8-2, and I felt a lot better at 8-2 than I did at 8-4. But it's not really the record that has me worried. It's kind of the situation they're in. Obviously, 8-4 is a lot better than 4-8. So you take that, but I'm not going to lie, Brandon, I'm really getting fed up with injury being an excuse that can't be ignored when it comes to our Wisconsin sports teams. I understand it happens. I understand it's sports. I don't even want to use it as an excuse. I'm just tired. I'm just tired of saying it. I was tired of saying it with the Packers. I was tired of saying it with the Brewers last year. And now I'm just like exhausted. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like every time, even if it's minor, like we saw Terang went down, they kept him out of the lineup on Wednesday and
Tuesday and Wednesday.
Correct. And then they were like, because when we get an off day Thursday, so they can build in a day. And then he's expected to be back. And I'm just like, okay. But even missing 3 days, I'm like, just, it's annoying. I'm annoyed with people getting injured. And I'm hoping that what the Brewers were able to do last year through those injury woes wasn't a fluke, because that's not easy to do, to keep going and winning when your established guys are not in the game.
Yeah, and you're going to have a lot of guys step up, right? And I think you have every right to feel annoyed, because I'm annoyed and I'm frustrated. It started, Josh, on opening day. Like, we kind of forget about it because the Brewers won 14-2 or whatever the final was. They put up a couple of touchdowns, and Mizorowski set the franchise record for strikeouts to begin this season. And we kind of forget that a couple hours before that, we're all looking at our phones and seeing a notification that Jackson Chourio apparently had his hand broke weeks ago and went during spring training after the World Baseball Classic and still played it. And now we found out, as the season's getting ready to start, that arguably the best player on your team overall is now going to miss the first half of March and maybe April. We'll see. Obviously, Quinn Priester being out, is obviously an issue that for the Brewers for the starting rotation.
Hold on. I got to ask you a question on something you just said, because it's a really interesting point. Would you say right now that Jackson Chourio is the best player on this team?
Yeah, without a doubt. I think he is. And I think Bryce Terang you can make the argument
for
Brycey. I think, dude, Christian Yelich has been fantastic.
He's just way past his prime.
He's a little bit past. I wouldn't say way, but he's past, but he can still do a lot of damage at the plate and on the bases. I think Brycey and I think Jackson are in that conversation. But I'm telling you right now, and I know we're getting a little bit off topic, but do not sleep on Garrett Mitchell. Like, I think Garrett Mitchell has every tool.
Say again? All about health.
Yeah, well, that's 100% like that. But look at the two players we're also talking about right now, Josh.
Yes,
they're both hurt right at this very moment.
Right now. Garrett Mitchell's been hurt more than he hasn't been,
and some of that's just bad luck, right? Like it happened. Like, I hate to be like that guy, but it does happen. It is unfortunate. But when you look at a player who has every single tool, like Garrett Mitchell has it, like he does, and I'm not saying he's at that level of where Jackson or where Brycey is, but he can absolutely get there. It is frustrating, though, because the expectations in Milwaukee have certainly changed. Like, when you win the division, like the Brewers have for 3 straight years, you're no longer, trying to let's celebrate, hopefully getting into the postseason or having a fun summer. Like, no, we are now expected to run the NL Central like we have, and not much has changed. I think the Brewers got better. I know a lot of people were upset about the Freddie Peralta trade and the Caleb Durbin trade. I think those will even themselves out, and I think the Brewers we'll look back at those trades and be like, man, how did we get Kyle Harrison? Like, where did he come from? Who is this David Hamilton who feels like he gets on base every single time he's up at the plate? They'll even things out as far as the trade goes. And I think fans will come around to what the Brewers did in the offseason, but there is reason to be frustrated. But I would also say, as much as you're frustrated, and fans certainly are and annoyed, you're 8-4 and you don't have arguably the two best overall players in your lineup in Bryce Terang and Jackson Chourio. You're doing this without. You're also not doing it without Andrew Vaughn. Like, we didn't mention Andrew Vaughn. He was a key piece in not only the second half of that season for the Milwaukee Brewers with his power. I don't know if they beat the Cubs in the NLDS without Andrew Vaughn with that home run in game, I think it was 2. Like, it's a huge loss for the Milwaukee Brewers, and Jake Bauers hasn't lived up to the potential that Tommy Wartz, who does the post-game show on The Fan, wants him to live up to. But, like, there's a lot of expectations around this team. So when they go and they drop, this is the first series they've lost, right? They lost to Boston earlier in the week. They're still 8-4. They started off the 2026 road trip with a 3-3 record. Like, that's, obviously you don't want to be 500 on the road. They were the best road team a year ago, but they're also doing this in like a weird time of the year. You're playing an uncommon opponent, and I'm sorry, but like, the weather in Kansas City and Boston was not great. I'm not giving this team an excuse. I'm not, but I'm saying,
it sounds like you are, Brandon.
But I'm saying, like, there are other factors within.
Here's the thing. You don't have to come up with excuses. And that's my point. That's why I'm frustrated, because there is an excuse, and it's injuries. And that's the only reason why I'm worried. Listen, 8-4 is fantastic. Okay. That winning percentage is fantastic. You multiply that by the whole season. We are partying. That's great. We love that. The problem is that the honeymoon period ended. That's what I said. After 12 games, the honeymoon period ended because that loss in that rubber match against Boston was proof that this team can struggle. It showed them. We questioned for the last 2 games against Boston, the lineup we went, these lineups are not as sexy as we are used to. These are,
especially game 2 in Boston. I don't know what
Pat we thought thinking. Maybe that was like a Contreras fight.
Yeah.
We kind of,
somebody's getting suspended and might as well throw out the C team.
but then we saw a lot of that same lineup in game 3 against Sonny Gray. And it just, for me, I think it just showed, hey, if the injury bug exists, depth is important, but right now the depth isn't necessarily shining, and that can make some of these losses look really ugly. And that's not going to be fun to watch as this roller coaster of a season continues. Again, 12 games in. By the time people listen to this, 13. But the point is that we saw, like, even when they lost their first game of the season, right? To Kansas City.
Yep.
It was 3-2. Right.
Well, it was the Tampa Bay at home.
Oh, you're right.
They went 5-1 to open up the season.
Was it 3-2? No, they got
correct. No, it was Trevor McGill gave up. He gave up a 2-out walk and then an RBI double, and that was a very frustrating way to lose in the top of the ninth inning.
But we still didn't. It didn't feel like just an embarrassment. It felt like we could have won that one. We let that one get away. That last game against Boston was awful. Like, that was a glimpse into how bad the team can be. We've seen how great they can be. That was a glimpse of, okay, when we're injured and when we got in a kind of weird lineup and the stars do align for things to be terrible, this is how the team's going to look. And I think that was just all right, buckle up, sports fans, buckle up, Wisconsin sports fans, because now we're on it. Now we're on the roller coaster. Now we're seeing the highs and the lows that we can expect for the next 4 months. And let me tell you, they gotta get some of these guys back.
They do.
And there are too many depth pieces being used at one time.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree whatsoever. And if you're obviously dipping into your bench, at the bottom half of the lineup with Lockridge and Hamilton and Luis Matos, like, obviously there's going to be a drop off offensively speaking. I will preface with this though. This is typically when offenses are a little bit slow, is the early part of this season. Typically, we haven't seen it with the Brewers because offensively speaking, they've been awesome. Like Garrett Mitchell at one point, I don't know what the numbers are at this very moment, but was 4th in Major League Baseball in the entire league with runs batted in. So they were finding offense early. Certainly it helps when you play the Chicago White Sox to begin the season and you score 14 runs in game 1. And obviously you have a huge game 3 where you come from behind and hit a 3-run home run from Christian Yelich. So it inflates the offensive numbers a little bit on that aspect. But usually, like, for fans to be like, man, the offense this, the offense that, typically in a baseball season, this is when the offense is the slowest. This is typically when pitching is ahead of the bats. Because the weather plays into it. These pitchers have been, they're more conditioned. They've been, obviously, pitchers and catchers report earlier Then the players there, there's the World Baseball Classic. So some players left, some players didn't get enough at bats. Remember, when teams were at spring training, they were trying to push a lot of these World Baseball Classic guys to the front of the line to get these spring training at bats, because they knew when they went to the World Baseball Classic, they may not see an at bat like they would normally see in spring training. So this is kind of a period where the bats are typically slower, and we're not used to it now because the start of the year was great for the Brewers. The other half of this, I believe, Josh, is that you got to look at where this team was a year ago. And I know that doesn't matter. I know you can throw that in the garbage and it doesn't mean anything, but they are stacking wins, and 8 wins in their first 12 games. It took them weeks last year to get there. And remember their health concerns last year at the starting pitcher position. At one point, Freddie was your only starting pitcher. Then you had to go out and get Quinn Priester. Then you got Chad Patrick, and then those things started to fall into place. They were under 500 at the end of May. I will remind Brewers fans, they were 21-23 the third week in May, and we were having conversations of, could they be sellers at the trade deadline, because the Cubs were skyrocketing, the Reds were doing good, and we were sitting here kind of like, man, I don't know, like this team just doesn't have it. And then boom, it clicks. It's a very long season. You're going to have worse games than the Brewers had in Game 3 against the Boston Red Sox. They could lay an egg this weekend and have a worse game than they did in Boston. It's going to happen. The thing about it is you got to have more good moments than bad. I know that's a generic answer, but I think they will. And I think they're going to get Jackson Chourio back a little bit sooner rather than later. I think Andrew Vaughn, he's right on the timeline. So early May for Andrew Vaughn. And that's kind of when, really, I don't want to say when the season starts, because every game is important. Me and Tim Allen, who does the post game, we always say the Brewers are in a pennant race from game 1 through 161. It just, every game it matters. But when you're fully healthy is when you'll fully get these guys back. And remember, the Dodgers kind of played this game a little bit last year with their starting pitching. It helps when you have the Dodgers payroll, but I'm not worried whatsoever yet.
Yeah, it's the concern is just about health. It's not about health right now. It's about how long and can this team. Trust me, I'd much rather have the team be hurting now.
And the Cubs are hurting. They're down multiple starting pitchers.
Correct. And aren't a few of them, like a few of their injuries, done?
Cade Horton's done for the year. Justin Steele probably won't be back till July. And Matthew Boyd just went on the 15-day IL with a bicep strain. So, like, again, every team is going to deal with it. Matt Arnold, in my opinion, has done a really good job at developing a deep roster. And I think it's coming into play earlier than we wanted. But they will get healthier, and they will get better.
Yeah, it's a great thing that the injuries are happening now, if they are going to happen.
Yep.
It's finding a way, trusting in Murph, that they figure it out until those guys get back, then having those guys perform once they do. And again, we're on the roller coaster ride, and we go. I got to say, you brought up Matt Arnold and trusting in Matt Arnold too, and #depth and what they've put together. And I've never been more confident in a Wisconsin organization than I am having the 2-time manager of the year and 2-time GM of the year, just being able to put this together the way that they have. It really, honestly, makes me upset that not too far away is another Milwaukee sports organization that I have the opposite trust in. And that, of course, being the Milwaukee Bucks, who, by the time of people listening to this, just finished their last home game of the season. We will talk about the Bucks, if we agree with the decision they made, and what happens next for them when we come back on Don't Tell Me How to Fan. Stay tuned. All right, everyone, welcome back to Don't Tell Me How to Fan. I'm Josh Albrecht. John Taylor out sick this week. Brandon Sneide, you can hear him on 9 to noon on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. You can also see all the work he does on the Locked On Bucks, Packers, Brewers, Badgers, high school, pee-wee leagues. If your neighborhood has a fantasy
local kickball clubs.
Yep.
We do it all.
Probably a Locked On that Brandon Sneide is doing as part of it. Brandon, again, thanks so much for being with us. We just got done. We've talked all things baseball. We talked about the Brewers City Connect, State Connect line that dropped, the team itself. Now we got to transition into the Bucks, and honestly, probably one of the last times we're talking about the Bucks, at least what's happening on the court for quite some time. So by the time that most people are going to be hearing this, the Bucks will have played that last home game. We're recording prior to the home game, but the news did come out that Giannis is listed as out on the injury report, which means there's no changing that designation, right? If it's questionable or something, then they can, correct?
You are correct. Yep. Yeah, he's out for the home finale, which is unfortunate, I guess, for some people.
Well, here's the thing. It was very interesting because I saw a lot of people opinion change on that decision. I felt like a week and a half ago, it was even earlier on, it was you do not play him no matter what. Are you kidding me? What a dumb idea that would be. Shut him down. Why is Giannis making this big of a stink? What are you doing? Stop. And a lot of people were like, listen, he wants to play with his brother. Like, let him just suit up and go out there for 5 minutes. And a lot of people were kind of changing this idea to let Giannis play. And the Bucks said, no, you can't play. Giannis feels like he's good to go. Giannis has, we've seen photos posted on his social media of like warm-ups, of him being out there doing warm-ups before the game. I will say, I think that if you are medically cleared to do warm-ups, you're medically cleared to play 3 minutes with your brothers in a meaningless game, personally. But I don't know the rules. I don't make the rules. I don't know how that works with the doctors or, what could happen from that. It certainly seems like the NBA wouldn't be upset if he played. They're looking at it more of because he's not playing. That's the issue from an anti-tanking standpoint. Here's my main concern, Brandon, okay? And I know that we're not necessarily on the same side as this, but I want Giannis to be on this team. I want him to be on this team for as long as possible. I want him to finish his career here. That's what I would like to happen. The fact that the Bucks have made this decision and they have said you can't play. When we have seen the Bucks make so many sacrifices and decisions to please Giannis in the past. We'll get your brother on the bench. You bet. Thanasis, we re-signed him. He's in here. Hey, you want whatever you want. You want to get in here. You want to do this. You want however we can help you. We're there. You let us know. We're a part of it. We love you. We appreciate you for everything. We will make it happen. Right? And then all of a sudden, nope, we're not doing this. I looked at that as kind of a sign of what's to come. This is the first time, not that I didn't see it as a possibility, but to where I'm really kind of, I think, coming to terms with the fact that it's over. When Peter Fagan stepped down, that was the first nail in the coffin for me. I went, that's bad. And it was brushed under the rug a lot. That wasn't covered by Shams. Shams didn't bring that up a lot in any of his articles. He should have. That to me shows the huge disconnect because to locals, it was why? Why is Peter Fagan leaving?
Who's been there for all of it, 12 years, yeah.
And the answers we got were, well, I'm ready for a new challenge. Hey, I have a challenge for you, bud. How about trying to save this Bucks team? That's a really tough challenge. You should try doing that one. And he went, nuh-uh, bye-bye. And if you don't think that it's because he saw the turmoil, that he saw all the things that came out in recent articles about the just disaster in communication between team to coaches, players to coaches, coaches to front office, all of it, no one talking to each other, just a crap storm across all levels of the Bucks organization. And he said, I'm out. That was a big sign that not enough people focused on. But I still went, okay, you still never know. Like, Giannis hasn't come out and said anything yet, so I'm going to trust Giannis. Then we had the trade deadline passing, and he puts out that video. And I went, that's my boy. There he is. Now, did he say I'm staying forever? No. He said they're going to have to drag me out of here. I went, okay. I like that. But then when the Bucks said, no, Giannis, you can't play. Then I started to remember when Giannis said, I'm an employee. I'm an employee. They could trade me. They can do whatever. That's not up to me. I'm an employee. And then they make that decision. And I think the Bucks are playing a little bit of bully ball, trying to get Giannis to be the bad guy. To make Giannis, I think forever, for years, it has been, no one wants to be the bad guy. No one wants to be the one that has to live with the fact that they ended the relationship. And so both sides are making it so unnecessarily tough for the other, trying to get them to be the bad guy. And this move by the Bucks might have done it. This might have been the one that was so unnecessary to have him be in street clothes in that last game at home with his brothers. And they go, no, you can't suit up. And so that move to me was a big sign that might be the last time that we see Giannis on the Bucks bench. And the next time he's in Fiserv, it very well could be in another team's uniform.
All good things, Josh, come to an end. They just do. And there's no reason that if it is his last moment that we don't appreciate what you and I just talked about when we said #buy all the gear and what those days and those moments made us feel like when we won a championship. You grew up a Bucks fan. I grew up a Bucks fan. Everybody out listening to the show probably grew up a Bucks fan. None of us thought we would ever see 2021, right? Like Never. A lot of us weren't alive, when the Bucks did it in 70, and like we just didn't expect 71, I should say. We didn't expect it to happen again. And when it happened, it was one of the most amazing feelings. You and I, we didn't know each other then personally, but we were both down in the Deer District at the game. Like it was an environment and a moment none of us will forget. That doesn't mean those things go away, but it eventually does come to an end. It came to an end with Brett Favre. It came to an end with Aaron Rodgers. It will come to an end with Jordan Love. It'll come to an end with Christian Yelich in Milwaukee. Like it's one of those things where you've exhausted everything in order to make championship number 2 happen. And unfortunately, nobody is really set to blame. Like I don't blame ownership. I don't blame John Horst. I don't blame Giannis. Like just things didn't happen and couldn't. And we talked about injuries, man. You talk about bad injury luck.
Yeah, they've had
Drew Holiday, Chris Middleton, Giannis, Damian Lillard. Like it's not like this organization didn't try. Like when we lay our heads down at night, we can't say, man, I wish the Bucks would have just tried a little bit harder. They did everything. They were the first team to waive and stretch a contract to pay $22.5 million so they could go out and get the top free agent. Now you can make the argument, is Miles Turner the right guy to go out and get when they did it? But that was in the moment the number 1 free agent in the NBA free agency class. And they were trying to extend their championship window. We have to keep in mind, not many teams in the NBA, including the Los Angeles Lakers, the New York Knicks, the Boston Celtics, the Golden State Warriors, that have been able to keep a championship window open for a decade. They've had their moments of being in the top 5, top 3 in NBA lotteries, meaning they've had bad years. And this is where the Bucks are at. There's no reason to hang your head on how this has transpired. I applaud the organization. That is the best asset, Josh, this organization may ever had, for one of two ways. Either he's here next year or you have to keep him healthy in order for him to be traded in the offseason to hopefully give your organization a reset. If you own a Ferrari, Josh, you're not taking that Ferrari on a ride on December 5th when it's cold and snowy outside, right? Like there's no difference in taking Giannis out in the game right now to try to stretch him out and play with his brothers in a meaningless game that means nothing when but
if it does to him,
it doesn't mean it can't happen. And if the Bucks aren't getting a verbal commitment at the very least from Giannis, like
that's what I'm saying. I think that's the difference.
Yeah.
I think that there have been conversations that have already happened. And, John Horst had that Q&A with Eric Dame from The Athletic, and I'm throw all that out. I think there have been conversations. I don't think the Bucks organization has gotten the answer they're looking for.
And that's fine then. Then that's good.
I don't know that it's good. And here's why I don't think
but it's good for them for standing their ground. Because if he goes out there, Jason Tatum, Klay Thompson, Kevin Durant, Damian Lillard, Josh, all these guys had multiple calf injuries in their year. They tore their Achilles.
Brandon, I brought this up on Inside Wisconsin Sports to Trevor and Josh. If they're worried about Giannis getting injured playing 5 minutes of basketball in a meaningless game, then don't offer him the Supermax.
It only takes one moment, but you have to protect you have to look out for the organization
saying,
first.
That's insane. That's an insane, like,
what if he plays? What if he plays and he tears his Achilles? Then what are we saying?
$275 million, and then in the first week of the season, he tears his Achilles.
Correct, but at least you have him here for the year after he recovers. If he tears his Achilles on April 10th, right? Whenever, April 12th, their last game on Sunday, you don't have him. There's no guarantee that he's going to be here. Then you're not going to get anything in a trade for him. Your leverage goes completely down the drain. The Bucks are going to be an organization beyond Giannis. They got to look out for themselves. Giannis has said it. I'm just a player. I'm just here. I don't make the calls. The organization has to protect themselves. If Giannis can't see that this organization, Josh, would go out of their way to keep him happy and to keep him in Milwaukee, then he's blind to the fact that for that matter, that's on him. Then they've done everything, including, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to badmouth anybody. Without Giannis, his brothers are not on an NBA roster.
Well, no, that's a given. That's a given. I do have to say, though, that I don't have trust or faith in this organization that whatever they get back for Giannis, which I promise you, no matter what it is going to be a disappointment.
I agree.
You think that fans were upset about the City Connect gear that came out for the Brewers? Just wait until they see the trade package that's accepted by the Milwaukee Bucks. And we will talk for a decade. I can't believe we traded Giannis Antetokounmpo for Joe Schmo and Bill Who Gives a Crap. That's how it's going to go down. It's brutal. It's going to be awful. They'll get some picks, but I don't trust this organization right now with how it is, the decisions they made, the way they've handled things this season, that they're going to be able to rebuild this the right way. They really need to prove it to me, and I don't have the faith.
I know we're up against it, but let me ask you this question. Let me spin this back on you. If they were to retain Giannis, their assets are very, very limited. Do you trust that with Giannis paying him the Supermax, that they can even build a team around Giannis to compete for a championship? Or are we going to be doing this every single year?
They have 3 first-round picks they can trade, plus they have a lottery pick no matter what. They can still get a lottery pick in this year's draft and use 3 first-round picks to go get another guy or
who
2.
Though? I know that's putting you on the spot, but we've tried this. We did it with Damian Lillard. When I know maybe you don't feel the same way. I remember
that's
where
why
I was
having that pick this year.
I had to stop eating my chicken wings at the bar I was at when I saw the Woj bomb when the Bucks acquired Damian Lillard. I thought we were going to win a championship that year and the next year.
Right.
We thought Miles Turner was going to be a good fit. It just hasn't worked because the other reason that nobody's talking about, I love Giannis. Josh, he's going to be 32 years old. His game is not going to age gracefully, and he hasn't been healthy in 4 years. 4 years, man.
Well, I'll tell you this. What I know for sure is that the city should forever be grateful for Giannis. Build the statue.
Yeah.
What happens next, who knows? The national media is going to be just having a field day with all of the news throughout the summer. So prepare yourself for that and enjoy a beer wearing a bobber hat or shirt on a boat, listening to the Brewer game, and focus on that this summer because it'll be way, way more fun. All right. Thanks, Brandon, for joining us for this episode of Don't Tell Me How to Fan. We appreciate you. Appreciate all of you for tuning in. If you're listening to this on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network, remember, you can see us. We do record live video of the podcast. You can find that at Not Done Yet Media on YouTube. We appreciate it. Tune in next time because we are not done yet.